You don't lose her because you said the wrong thing. You lose her because you never asked the right question in time. And by the time most men realize this, she's already emotionally gone. I want you to slow down for a moment and really hear this, because what I'm about to tell you isn't the typical dating advice you've heard online. This comes from observing patterns most men completely miss, especially when they think attraction is about looks, money, or confidence alone. Real attraction, is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built in small psychological openings, the kind of moments where a woman feels seen without feeling pressured, understood without feeling analyzed, and connected without feeling controlled. Most men rush these moments. They try to impress, they try to prove, they try to lead the conversation like a performance. But women don't bond through performance, they bond through emotional clarity. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything changes. There are certain questions that don't just start conversations, they shift emotional states. They move a woman from casual awareness of you into curiosity and then into emotional investment. The first question is deceptively simple, but it changes the entire tone of interaction. Instead of asking predictable things like, how was your day? You ask, what part of your day actually felt like you? This question does something powerful. It forces reflection, not repetition. Most people replay their day like a report, but this question pulls her into her emotional experience. And when a woman starts accessing her emotions in your presence, she starts associating those emotions with you. The second question deepens this shift. When do you feel most like yourself around other people? Now you are no longer talking about surface level events. You are entering identity space. Every human being, especially women, carries different versions of themselves depending on who they are with. This question invites her to reveal her most authentic version without pressure. And here is what most men don't realize. When a woman feels safe expressing her authentic self in a conversation with you, attraction doesn't need to be forced. It begins to form naturally through emotional comfort and psychological safety. But the key is not just asking the question, it's how you listen after. No interrupting, no rushing to respond, no trying to fix or impress, just space. Because silence, when handled correctly, becomes emotional gravity. And in that gravity, she starts to lean in. There is a reason most conversations never turn into connection. It's not because men don't talk enough. It's because they don't create the emotional environment where truth feels safe to come out. When you start shifting from trying to be interesting to making her feel understood, everything in dating changes. Her guard lowers, her curiosity increases, and her emotional attention starts to attach to you in a way she can't easily explain. Now, I want you to remember something very important. Attraction is not something you chase. It is something that emerges when a woman feels emotionally met in a way she didn't expect. And most men are never taught how to create that moment. But once you understand it, you stop competing for attention and start shaping emotional experience. Before we move further, ask yourself this honestly. How many of my past conversations ended quickly because I was speaking but not truly connecting? If this made sense to you, like the video, subscribe and comment below. What do you think makes a woman feel truly understood in a conversation? And be honest, because your answer reveals more about your dating life than you think. There is something most men never notice about attraction until it's already too late. A woman doesn't decide to like you because of one perfect moment. She decides based on a slow accumulation of emotional signals, tiny psychological yes moments that build trust in the background while you think you're just talking. And one of the strongest signals you can create is not charm, not humor, not confidence, but curiosity directed inward. Let me show you what I mean. The third question you can ask is, what's something you've changed your mind about recently in life? This question does something subtle but powerful. It reveals flexibility of mind, emotional growth, and self-awareness. And when a woman answers this, she is unconsciously evaluating you too. Because here's the truth most men miss. She is not only answering your question, she is also watching how you receive her answer. Do you judge her? Do you challenge her aggressively? Or do you stay open and interested? That moment becomes a silent emotional test. And when you pass it by simply listening without ego, something shifts. She starts feeling emotionally safer around you than she expected. Now, the fourth question takes this even deeper. What kind of people do you feel drained around? This is not small talk anymore. This is psychological mapping. People naturally bond through contrast. When she describes what drains her, she is also indirectly describing what energizes her. And if you listen carefully, you start understanding her emotional boundaries, her past experiences, and the patterns she avoids. But there is something even deeper happening here. She begins to associate you with emotional intelligence, not because you said something impressive, but because you asked something that required depth. And emotional intelligence is one of the strongest attraction triggers in modern dating psychology. But here is where most men make a critical mistake. They hear deep questions and start turning the conversation into an interview. Rapid fire questions, no emotional pacing, no warmth, no pauses. That kills attraction instantly. Because attraction doesn't come from interrogation, it comes from rhythm. Ask, pause, feel, respond lightly, let silence breathe. Silence is not emptiness in attraction. Silence is space where emotion forms. And when a woman feels that she can exist in silence with you without pressure, her nervous system starts relaxing around your presence. That relaxation is dangerous in a good way, because a relaxed nervous system starts associating safety with you, and safety is the foundation of emotional attachment. Most men think attraction is built through intensity, but real attraction is built through emotional calmness mixed with curiosity. Now pause for a second and reflect. Have you ever been in a conversation where everything felt easy, but you didn't know why you wanted to keep talking? That feeling is not random, it's psychological alignment. And you can create it intentionally when you stop trying to perform and start asking questions that reveal emotional structure. But there is still something deeper we need to uncover, because not all attraction is conscious. Some of it happens beneath awareness. And that is where most men completely lose control of the dynamic. If this is making sense, ask yourself this. When was the last time a woman opened up to me more than I expected? And what did I do right in that moment? Comment your answer below. And if you're following closely, like the video and subscribe. Because what comes next will change how you understand emotional pull entirely. There is a point in every interaction where things either stay casual or start becoming emotionally charged in a way neither person fully admits. Most men miss that point completely. They think attraction is about saying more, explaining better, or being more entertaining. But in reality, attraction often peaks when a man knows when to stop adding noise and start creating emotional contrast. Let me explain something important. A woman doesn't just remember what you said. She remembers how she felt while she was figuring herself out in your presence. That distinction changes everything. The fifth question is, what's something you wish people understood about you without you having to explain it? This question hits a deeper layer of identity, because everyone carries unspoken parts of themselves, things they feel but rarely articulate. When she answers this, she is exposing emotional truth that usually stays hidden. And here's where your role becomes critical. You are not there to agree immediately. You are not there to analyze. You are not there to fix. You are there to witness. Because being witnessed without judgment is one of the rarest emotional experiences a person can have. And rarity creates value in the mind. Now, the sixth question is even more powerful. When do you feel most misunderstood in life? This question is not light, it's not casual. And that's exactly why it works when used naturally and at the right moment, because it taps into emotional memory. Every person has moments where they felt unseen, misread, or emotionally disconnected from others. When she shares that with you, she is not just telling a story. She is revealing vulnerability architecture. And if you respond with calm presence instead of discomfort, she begins to associate you with emotional stability. But here is the part most men never understand. Attraction is not built only when she feels good. It is built when she feels safe expressing complexity around you. That includes confusion, contradictions, emotions she doesn't fully understand herself. And if you can stay grounded in that space, you become emotionally memorable. But there is a trap here. If you push too hard, the energy collapses. If you rush intimacy, it becomes uncomfortable. If you overuse deep questions, it becomes predictable. So the real skill is balance, depth without pressure, curiosity without demand, presence without pursuit. That balance is what creates emotional pull. And once that pull begins, she starts doing something subtle but powerful. She starts thinking about you when you are not there, not because you chased her attention, but because her mind now has emotional material linked to you. And that is where attraction becomes self-sustaining. Now, I want you to consider something honestly. Have you ever met someone who didn't do anything extraordinary, but still stayed in your mind longer than expected? That is emotional imprinting, and it doesn't come from perfection. It comes from emotional precision. Before we go further, reflect on this. Do I create emotional clarity in conversations or just temporary attention? Write your answer in the comments, like the video if you're still with me, and subscribe. because the final part will reveal what actually turns emotional curiosity into lasting attraction and why most men never reach that stage. Now, you understand something most men never fully grasp. Attraction is not created by trying to be chosen. It is created by becoming someone who understands emotional reality better than surface level conversation. But there is a final layer that changes everything. Because even if you ask the right questions, even if you create emotional depth, even if she opens up to you, none of it matters if you don't know how to hold your own emotional presence afterward. This is where most men collapse. They either overinvest too quickly, or they become overly careful and robotic, or they try to lock in the connection out of fear of losing it. All of that breaks the natural flow, because real attraction does not grow under pressure. It grows under emotional freedom. Let me be clear about something important. A woman does not become more interested in you because you try harder to keep her attention. She becomes more interested when she feels you are not dependent on her response to feel stable. That emotional independence is what creates polarity. Now, here is the final truth behind everything you've heard so far. Those 6 questions are not magic tricks. They are not scripts to control outcomes. They are tools to reveal emotional depth when used with authenticity. The real transformation happens in you when you stop approaching conversations as a way to impress and start approaching them as a way to understand. Your entire energy changes, and people feel that before they understand it. Now let's go deeper. After emotional openness is created, there is a moment where silence returns, and that silence is important because in that silence, she is not just thinking about what you said. She is thinking about how she felt being herself around you. And that feeling is what lingers, not your words, not your jokes, not your answers. The feeling of emotional safety combined with curiosity, that is what creates memory. And memory is the foundation of attachment. But here is where maturity matters most. If you start chasing validation from that connection, you lose balance. If you start overanalyzing every response, you lose presence. If you start trying to engineer attraction, you lose authenticity, because the moment you move from awareness into control, you disconnect from real human interaction. So the real skill is simple, but not easy. Be present enough to connect deeply, but grounded enough to not lose yourself in the outcome. That is what makes a man emotionally stable in interaction. And emotional stability is something people feel instantly, not through logic, through nervous system response. Now, before this video ends, I want you to bring this back to your own life. Think about your past conversations, not just romantic ones, but all of them. How many times did you speak to be liked instead of speaking to understand? How many times did you ask questions just to fill silence instead of using silence as part of connection? That awareness alone can shift everything moving forward, because once you see patterns, you stop repeating them unconsciously. Now, I want you to answer this honestly. If I removed the need to impress anyone, how would my conversations actually change? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if this made you think differently, like the video, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to understand real emotional intelligence in relationships. Because the truth is simple. Most people are not missing attraction techniques. They are missing emotional awareness.